G'day everyone. A while back I promised you an update on my milk bottles growing experiment, growing food in milk bottles, and this is that update. I know it's a bit of a long time coming. This second channel is an overflow channel. I know I've promised that I'd be doing a lot more content on this channel. It hasn't eventuated as yet. I'm fully aware of that, but stick with me on this channel because I am getting more into it this year. I've just got a lot of things behind the scenes, but I'll talk a bit about that after I give a quick rundown on how this experiment happened or how it finished up. All informal, like nothing too overcomplicated with the editing in these videos. Let's just go from, I don't know, left to right. This one here, these two were carrots. They were carrots. Oh, I probably should say overall, I was happy with the experiment, happy with the container especially, but not happy with the results. I wanted to be able to grow more food more vigorously. The experiment was a bit of a rush. Most of these were grown out of season, which is interesting in itself, and they still grew okay, but they could grow better coming into season. I intend to do that with most of these being planted as we come into our subtropical winter, which should make better conditions weather-wise, not so hot, for most of these plants, with a few exceptions. So that's one thing. The other thing is I think we need a proper watering system because the medium in this is so small, and even in probably our warm winter, they will still dry out pretty quickly. And I'll probably have to look at the medium and maybe make the medium a little bit more better and more nutritious as well because of the small area to sustain these plants. It's not always a success straight away gardening. Most of the time it isn't. You've got to feel your way through, but I'm determined to be able to have a container like this that you can just get from the recycle bin, reuse, and I want to reuse these again, not just one time. And then when I'm finished with them, I want to put them in the recycle bin and let them get recycled. So that's the whole intention of reuse, recycle, save costs, save energy, save all these things, and use low cost to create food growing opportunities. And it's especially directed at people that might not have a lot of money or not a lot of space, and that might be looking at ways that they can grow food in a cheaper alternative with the sort of assets that they have around them and might not even know it. So that's the whole gist of it. On my main channel, you will see a sort of condensed version of these types of experiments because it's aimed at that audience that don't want me to waffle on so much. But you guys on this second channel are sort of happy with me to waffle a little bit. I understand that, and I appreciate you subscribing to this channel as well. So hit that subscribe button, obviously, if you haven't already, and think about, if you like fishing, subscribing to my other channel, Fishing Me, which is another new one. I think there's about 3,000 subscribers there already, and I'll be doing more content there too. Seem like I'm biting more off than I can chew at the moment, but I just really love making videos, and I want to make it more and more about lifestyle and a holistic approach, and these channels all mold in together. Obviously, Self-Sufficient Me, my main channel, will always probably remain the number one, but those other two branching off that should be interesting if you're interested in them. Anyway, let's keep going. The carrots. So let's just finish this up. You can see they're still growing, not growing with any gutso, and they've been growing for a number of months now. So let's just empty these out and see what's become of them. These are a smaller variety of carrots, just a medium type, and I've just been able to pull that straight out. And they'd probably just keep growing a little bit, wouldn't they? That doesn't look too bad, but again, it's not great. These small ones, after all that time, you know, they should be probably about that long and fatter and more healthier and better to eat. I'm not even going to have a taste of them, but that's what it's ended up as. That's that one. This one here, another, again, small, 3 or 4 small ones. No real fantastic growth, but pretty good growth. Like they're not deformed or anything, just they're small because they're just not getting enough water and nutrients, even though they're still alive, which is pretty cool. So that's the carrots. The radish, I grew 2 lots of radish. They grew okay. There's still one that's alive here. I might be able to let that go to seed, but I don't really need to because I've got plenty of radish seed. They grew okay to a certain point. Obviously I've grown way past the years by now, so you could refer back to my first video to see how that radish was growing, and it did grow some edible radish, no doubt about it. I'd need to add more nutrients, be able to sort of inject that in somehow, have a little drip watering system to it for that radish to really grow and thrive. If I'm not watering it every day and sort of babying it. If I can't baby it, I think automation would make these things grow better all along. Then we've got a bean. These are a dwarf bean, grow really well in these small containers. And if I just take that off, break that open, you'll have dried beans in here. This is already starting to flower again, but this isn't a great time for beans. There's a couple of small ones. It's powering on regardless of the poor conditions. Now remember, since my experiment I've left and forget these. They've just been getting water from the rain, and really I haven't done much to them at all. This is just showing you what happened with this experiment. This is just the end of it. Here's some more. I could just push these beans, just crinkle them up. Oh, dropped one there. Put them back in the container. They'll probably sprout. In another month is the right time for planting beans. So perhaps if a few shoots come up here, I can transplant them off into the garden anyway, or reuse them. That's a bit of Egyptian spinach. I didn't actually plant that, but these are chives. And this is an interesting thing. I'll get rid of that Egyptian spinach because I've got plenty of this stuff. It's really good and it seeds readily, and it's an excellent substitute for regular spinach that won't grow through our summer heat. But Egyptian spinach will, and it tastes beautiful. I've done videos on Egyptian spinach. But look at these chives. Despite me not giving it any attention and not really caring, these are garlic chives. They smell absolutely beautiful. Oh, and they're so good, as you probably know, in cooking. Just chopped up in salads, or covering potatoes is one of my favourite. You know, baked potatoes and some chives sprinkled over, even rice. But look at them. Now this is the thing, for containers like this, in a small space, if you can imagine, like I said in the original video, uni student, things like herbs grow really well in small containers. I've been trying to grow some regular veg, but maybe sticking to herbs is the key. But look how well these neglected chives have been going. Really good. They grow in a small space, in poor soil, not much fertilizer, not much water, but you can still get a beautiful lush crop out of them, and they're just keeping on growing. So that's a plus, and a plus how this ended up. Another herb that I want to show you is how this basil did. Now when I first planted this basil, it needs a bit of water. You can see it's looking a little bit sad, but it actually is growing quite well. When I first planted this basil from seed, or sowed it, it wasn't the right time of year. It was growing, it likes to actually grow at this time of year through the summer heat. You can see in this small container, if I gave it a bit of extra love, it would be growing really good. I could trim that off, and I could have been trimming it back and letting it bush out, and giving it some extra water and a bit of extra soluble fertilizer, and this plant would have been going really good. So as far as experiments go, growing in pretty poor soil without being looked after that much, basil is a winner. So it's another herb that backs that theory. And lettuce, well, of course, you can't grow lettuce through summer here. There's a little bit of Egyptian spinach popping up. It just pops up everywhere. But the lettuce, of course, has all died off. all the seeds it went to seed, and the seeds have all dried out and most of them dropped off. You could probably salvage one or two there and regrow them next season. But like I said before, if I'm going to grow lettuce again, which I will in these containers, I will grow them as we're coming into our autumn and winter when it cools down a bit, because it's just way too hot to grow lettuce through summer, or traditional lettuce. These are all weeds, but this was the cucumber. I'm keeping this for seed and I'm going to regrow it, but I'm going to give it more love, a better mixture, a drip feed system, and we'll see if we can't get these dwarf cucumber plant, one per container. I think I tried to grow two in this one. Two's too many for such a small area, and we'll see if we can't grow a better plant with numerous fruit in one of these milk bottles. All right, let's just finish off real quick with the behind the scenes stuff. I'm still working on my website. The website's taking an extraordinarily long time to get revamped, which I'm a little bit disappointed with, I won't lie, but I do have faith in the company that I went with, especially the main website editor that's working on it, the IT expert. I have a lot of faith in him and he's doing his best, but they're very busy. It was a bit of a complicated transfer over. I'm transferring my website. I don't want to get too technical, but I'm transferring it from one platform over to another. Still coming, still working on it. And yeah, that takes a bit of time and effort behind the scenes, and there's also several other things behind the scenes that I'm working on as well. Bottom line is, and I'll wrap it up here, I'm getting on top of all this. There's a lot of things in the background and it's great fun, and I'm really enjoying myself creating videos for you. So thanks a lot for your support, and I hope you enjoyed this recap of what happened to these milk containers. And I'm going to get into them again and see if we can make a better job of it. Yeah, and I'm going to try to get more content done on this channel. Now I've repeated myself a million times. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.